Other tribes are still out here using rocks to hunt. Meanwhile, our tribe is already packing spirit Gatling guns to wreck the whole map. My neighbors are still busy rubbing sticks together to start a fire. We're already using gas stoves to grill meat like absolute kings. And that's all because I got isekai'd into this primitive wasteland. The moment I spawned in, I got snatched up by a girl in fur pelts and held captive all night. I drifted awake, and before I could even process the vibe of this place, I felt something was seriously wrong with my lower half. I looked down and saw my whole world spinning. What in the hell are you doing? Some gorgeous savage girl in furs was literally trying to peel my pants off. Seeing me wake up, she turned beet red and started rambling in some weird-sounding gibberish. I was totally lost. Then a voice suddenly echoed in my brain. Congrats, host, you've bound the system. And since you dropped 3 Doge comments under that video, here's your newbie starter pack. Primitive language mastery and world scanner unlocked. What the heck is this? But the very next second, everything coming out of her mouth made perfect sense. What kind of gear is this? Why won't it just come off? She pointed at my leather belt, grumbling in a rage. Forget it, I knocked you out, so you're already my man, Anya's man. I looked at her, deadpan, as a status window popped up in my vision. Name Anya, race, primitive human, current status.
Heat cycle?
No, the system says it's the mating season. What kind of rigged settings are these? I tried to move, only to realize I was tied up tighter than a burrito in these vines. Anya saw me struggling, furrowed her brows, and hissed, if I can't take it off, I'll just rip it off. She lunged at me like a hungry panther. I knew I couldn't dodge, thinking to myself, great, my first day in a new world and I'm already getting clapped by a local waifu. I was just about to accept my fate and close my eyes when a bolt of lightning struck right outside the cave. Anya froze, her eyes lighting up instantly. Divine fire, the divine fire has descended. She dropped her dagger, grabbed a branch, and sprinted outside. I honestly don't know if I'm disappointed or lucky. Whatever, time to bail before she comes back. I crawled over to the dagger, hacked through the vines, and scrambled out of the cave. Stretched out before me was a massive primeval forest with a boundless horizon in the distance. All right, confirmation complete. I'm officially stuck here, and there's no way back. If I try to run into that jungle by myself, I'll definitely end up as monster food. Obviously, I'm totally not staying just because of that 18-year-old lowly. At least, that's what I tell myself. I hadn't walked 5 steps before I saw a bunch of people in furs kneeling before a tree hit by lightning. They were chanting prayers, thanking the heavens for the gift of fire. Aya spotted me in the crowd and sprinted over, holding a burning branch. Why did you run out here? Look, it's the divine fire. We can finally eat cooked meat today. She gave me such an innocent smile, and I couldn't help but smile back. Primitive people really are simple and straightforward. She grabbed my hand and started pulling me back toward the cave. Just then, some guy the size of a bull blocked our path. A loser who got kidnapped like you doesn't deserve to use the divine fire. Aya frowned. Batu, he's my man. Why shouldn't he be allowed to use it? Batu scoffed, saying other tribes steal men from each other all the time. But a real man wouldn't get snatched up. Only a weakling would get knocked out cold by a girl. Weaklings don't deserve the divine fire. Aya stomped her feet, shouting that he was just twisting the truth. Batu stared me down, but Aya's eyes were locked on me. I'm taller than him, and honestly way more built. Why did you pick him? Aya wrapped her arm around mine, and confidently declared, because he's way more handsome than you. Batu's face turned pale, and he roared at me. I challenge you to a duel. I couldn't help but laugh. A 1v1? Bro, I'm worried one hit will end your career. Isn't it just a fire source? And don't even get me started on this divine fire. I can make as much of this as I want. As soon as I said that, the people around us dropped to their knees in terror. They started begging the heavens for forgiveness. Aya panicked, tugging on my arm and signaling me to shut up. I just ignored the noise. Bado seized the moment to add fuel to the fire. Look, everyone sees it now. This kid has straight up offended the heavens. If we don't kick his ass out, the gods are going to rain down hell on us. The crowd started losing their minds. I cursed under my breath, but being stuck in the middle of nowhere, I knew I shouldn't go full rage mode yet. I told Anya to bring me the animal skin and dry grass, then sharpened a stick with my dagger. Watch and learn, boys. Today, I'm going to teach you peasants how to make fire with a stick. I went full 25-year virgin hand speed mode. The smell of burning wood started hitting the air. Almost there. We're cooking now. Suddenly, a random gust of wind killed the spark instantly. Badu immediately started clowning me. And here I thought you were actually cracked. Turns out you're just out here destroying animal skins for no reason? I could do that with my eyes closed. He ripped the pelt apart and turned to the crowd to rally them. He was trying to get everyone to exile me, so a whole mob surrounded me, with only Anya standing her ground in front of me. Her voice was shaking, but she didn't take a single step back. If anyone dares to touch my man, I'll take them down with me. My heart actually melted a little bit. Man, these primitive women have no filter, but she's low-key a real one. I reached into my pocket and pulled out something else. What's the rush? That last attempt was just the warm-up. I told Anya to grab fresh grass and pelts, then sprinkled some sulfur powder I brought along into the pile. Time to run it back for round 2. Bado let out a mocking sneer. What happens when you fail again? Leaving the tribe and leaving Anya behind. I shot him a look, but if I pull this off, you're hitting the dirt and apologizing to me. Fine, you're on. I accept your terms. Anya was stomping her feet in a panic. If you fail, I'm going down with you. I didn't say a word, just lowered my head and started spinning the wooden stick. A moment later, white smoke started rising, and that signature burnt smell hit the air. Whoosh! The flame roared to life, and the system notification finally pinged. Congrats, host, you've unlocked First Flame, reward, 1 survival kit. After a split second of silence, the whole tribe erupted into cheers. The kid actually summoned the sacred fire. He's definitely an envoy sent by the heavens. Anya put her hands on her hips, head held high, looking all kinds of proud. So, who was it that wanted to kick my man out earlier? Everyone looked like they'd just been slapped with a dose of reality. Rit scurried over to apologize. I smirked, looking straight at Badu. It's your turn, buddy. His face went from green to white, and then he suddenly pulled a shady smile. A powerful divine envoy wouldn't get knocked out by a girl and dragged back to the tribe, would he? This guy is obviously a thief who stole the sacred flame. Grab him, or the heavens will rain down divine punishment on us all. Anya started tearing into him, but Badu's eyes were shifty, even as he stayed stubborn. I'm just stating the facts. You've only known him for a day. Why are you out here simping for him? Because he's my man, that's why. I quickly pulled her back. Anya, stop, don't say another word. The way the crowd was looking at me had shifted real quick. In this primitive world, people fear the heavens more than anything else. Sure enough, the tribe started to slowly distance themselves from me. I let out a cold laugh and turned to walk away. I stopped right next to Badu and whispered, I'll see you at the clearing. He visibly shuddered, and Anya's voice echoed from behind me. Bro, let me roll with you. Everyone's jaws hit the floor when they saw her step up. She just hit them with the coldest line. He's my man, back off. I looked at her and asked, are you sure about this? Even if we starve or get mauled by beasts, I'm sticking by your side. Hearing that, I just smirked, grabbed her hand and dipped from the tribe. Suddenly, the skies opened up and the rain started dumping. Every single fire in the tribe got snuffed out instantly. The locals started fuming, convinced I'd insulted the heavens, and the gods took their fire back. Just then, some NPC yelled, look over there, there's fire in that cave. Everyone stared at the cave, which was supposed to be completely empty. Once the rain stopped, the smell of grilled meat hit the air like a truck. The tribe's kids started drooling like it was a buffet. Mommy, I want some cooked meat too. Back in the cave, Aya stared at the hearth, her eyes sparkling like a galaxy. You're a legend. I never have to eat raw meat again. I was about to flex my ego when I suddenly had to look away. What are you doing? Put your clothes on. Quick! She just stared at me, totally confused. They're soaked. I gotta dry them off. You're my man. Who cares? Bro, I care! You're still a kid, and we aren't even married yet. What's a marriage? Besides, I'm definitely not a kid. You don't believe me? Take a look then. She reached down to pull on her fur pelt, ready to show me everything. Stop right there! I grabbed her hand and tried to dump a whole textbook's worth of modern social norms on her. She nodded, clearly having zero clue what I was talking about. I let out a sigh of relief, thinking I'd dodged a bullet. Then the next second, she suddenly stands up. What is she doing? She tilted her head at me, a mischievous little smirk creeping onto her face. You're being pretty sus right now, bro. I saw everything you were doing. You were peeking the whole time, so why is your mouth saying something different from your actions? She marched right up and shoved me straight onto the ground. A rush of heat, smelling like orchids, hit the back of my neck. Big bro, I want to have a whole tribe of kids with you. The fuse in my brain completely snapped. Which absolute fraud is interrupting me? Just when I was about to go with the flow and seal the deal. A furious roar echoed from outside the cave. The lady quickly threw on a damp animal skin and charged out of the cave, absolutely fuming. Which blind idiot is outside? Daring to ruin my good time. If you clowns scare my man into a breakdown, I'm gonna make sure none of you walk out of here. I followed her out to see the Black Rock tribe blocking the entrance, acting like they owned the place. The leader saw our messy clothes, his eyes went bloodshot, and he screamed, I'm gonna end you. He raised his bone mace to charge, but an old guy with a staff blocked him. Turns out, that geezer is the big boss of the Black Rock tribe. The old man scanned me up and down before slowly opening his mouth. You stole the sacred flame and angered the gods, causing them to summon rain to take it back. You're gonna have to pay for this disaster. I frowned at him. Imagine blaming the rain putting out a fire on me? I'm not taking the L for that one. Just spit it out. What do you want? Hand over your fire source, and we'll pretend this never happened. That's a hard pass, old man. Before the geezer could keep yapping, a mountain of a man stepped out from the crowd. Boss, stop wasting your breath. Let's just bum-rush him and take it. With that, he swung his massive twin maces straight at my skull. My raw strength wasn't on his level, but luckily, my military training kept me nimble on my feet. But this absolute unit wouldn't quit, spamming attacks until even the old man behind him couldn't stop him. Even a clay figurine has a breaking point. If you don't stop now, the massive unit looked at me with total disdain, barking. Come on then, try and kill me if you can. The rest of these primitives just started cackling like absolute NPCs. I was backed into a corner with literally nowhere to run. Aya was about to jump in front of me like a total hero, but Badu pulled her back. Don't touch me, I have to save my man. Right then, a massive blast echoed, and the big guy face-planted into the dirt, dead as a doorstop, with a fresh hole in his forehead. The entire crowd went dead silent. Badu was the first one to snap out of it, acting like a total psycho. Everyone rush him. Let's delete this freak and avenge Ba Mang. The mob started going feral, and my palms were sweating bullets. I only had 5 rounds left in the chamber. With at least a few dozen of these guys breathing down my neck, I couldn't afford to show them a single ounce of fear. I blew the smoke off the barrel, looking around with pure main character energy. The next person who steps up is getting the exact same treatment as our friend on the floor. These cavemen were terrified. They'd never seen tech like this, and nobody wanted to bet their life on it. Badu was still coping, screaming, "Don't be cowards, just charge him." Just as the mob started to move, the elder stepped up with a sour face. He only came here to swipe some fire, not to start a full-blown war. He had no idea how many shots I had left, and he wasn't about to waste his clan's lives finding out. Seeing him sweating under the pressure, I grabbed a torch from inside the cave and tossed it over. Here's your fire. It's not that I'm scared of you losers. I just don't like dealing with the drama. The guy tried to take me out, so he got put in the ground. Simple as that. Know your place and back off. The elder grabbed the torch and went quiet for a second. Fair point, Ba Mang was clearly acting like a complete clown. He turned around to glare at his own people. This ends here. Everyone, head back to the tribe. Badu panicked, shouting, "Chief, are we just going to let them slide for killing Ba Mang?" The elder looked at him with pure disappointment for the first time. Don't think I don't see those trashy schemes you're pulling. How many more of our people do you want to get killed, you idiot? With that, he turned his back on the crowd and walked away without looking back. The old man shot me a death glare. Just you wait, boy. He spun around and trailed after the group. Once the crowd dipped, Aya grabbed my arm and dragged me into the cave. Let's go, baby! Time to keep making babies. No more NPCs around to cockblock us now. Stop playing around. Seriously. We've got actual business to handle. I scanned the interior of this dump. Don't you think this place is a bit too cramped and damp? She tilted her head, looking a bit confused. It's not that bad, right? Tomorrow we'll scout for a better base of operations. I frowned, radiating that main character confidence. With me around, we're done living in caves. Aya looked totally lost. If not a cave, then where? The beasts come out at night. They'll tear us to shreds. A house? Soon enough, I'm gonna upgrade you to a luxury villa. What even is a house? I gave her a mysterious Sigma grindset smirk. You'll see soon enough, babe. We bolted to the beach and went on a collecting spree, grabbing every shell in sight. A few trash-tier beasts tried to jump us, but Aya turned them into dinner without breaking a sweat. After grinding all day, the corner of the cave was stacked with shells. I crushed them into a fine white powder. Looking at that pile of dust, my heart was racing. That's calcium carbonate, the key to construction, agriculture, and high-tier alchemy. Right on cue, the system pinged in my brain. I stoked the fire, roasting the calcium carbonate into quicklime. Then I dug up some clay, mixed it all up, and the system toasted me. Achievement unlocked, Master Builder. System reward incoming. Physique boost and god-tier construction skills. I couldn't stop grinning, turned to Aya and said, "You've been working all day, go get some rest and leave the rest to me." Even though she was dying of curiosity, she didn't ask a single word and obediently headed back to the cave to crash. I don't know how long it took, but I dragged the body of the wild beast back, wearing a look of pure victory on my face. Congrats, host. You've unlocked the first primitive home achievement. You've received primitive melee, trap making, and advanced farming skills. Aya saw how exhausted I was and her heart just shattered for me. You're exhausted, aren't you? Let's just finish this tomorrow. I'll go find something for you to eat. Looking at the genuine concern in her eyes, I felt a warmth spread through my chest. Follow me, I said, leading her toward a massive tree not far from the cave entrance. She scanned the area, totally confused about where this supposed house could be. I chuckled softly and told her, just look up. The second she raised her head, she was absolutely floored. Perched in the branches was a sophisticated wooden house, built solid as a rock. The wooden ladder was nailed to the trunk, perfectly aligned and sturdy as hell. Wait, this is a house? That's right, this is the kingdom I built just for you, my queen. Go on, climb up and check it out. She scrambled up the ladder, running her hands along the rock-solid outer walls, with eyes wide as saucers. Did you really build this all by yourself? It's hard as stone and it's suspended way up in the air. Large predators can't climb, and the small ones can't chew through these walls. It's 100 times better than that dusty cave. I leaned back against the trunk, soaking in the pure admiration from my primitive waifu. Shelter's locked in, now it's time to hunt for crops. I'm heading out tomorrow. You think you'll be all right here, alone? She didn't even hesitate to shut that idea down. You're way too weak. You'll be literal snacks for the beasts the moment you step out. I shot her a look that said, just wait and see. Why don't you test me? She just laughed in my face.
Yeah.
My face darkened as I bolted straight toward her. I'd already maxed out my physical stats and close combat skills thanks to the system. It only took a few moves before I had her pinned to the ground. Tell me, you finally convinced yet? I couldn't resist and gave her cheek a playful little pinch. She was shocked at first, but then her expression shifted to something way more shy. You've suddenly become so OP, let's have a baby. My movements stalled, not because I didn't want to, but because we're living in a primitive era with 0 doctors and no hospitals. If she actually got pregnant, all that's waiting for Aya is a literal death sentence. What's wrong, Aya? Oh yeah, it's just not the right time yet. I want to build a safe world for you and give you a proper wedding. You might not fully get it, but please trust me, that day is coming sooner than you think. Oh right, you're heading out tomorrow, and I've got to go handle some business too. 115.8. Don't worry about it, it's just some minor chores. I could tell she was holding something back, but I didn't press her, just said softly, don't force yourself out there, you've got me. And if you're late getting back, I'll be the one coming to find you. Her nose started stinging, and she dived straight into my arms. You're just too good to me. We just hugged it out and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I grabbed my bone club and headed out to scout for crops. Meanwhile, Aya made her way back to the Blackstone tribe. Aya, a girl called out from a distance as soon as she saw her. You finally came to your senses. Thank goodness you're back. Aya gave a shy smile. Not quite, Agu. I just came back to grab my things and I'm heading right back out. Agu's smile instantly froze, her brows knitting together in frustration. Following that weakling, how are you even surviving out there? Stop being stupid and just come back. No one's gonna blame you. No matter how much she tried to talk sense into her, Aya didn't budge. He's my man, and since I've chosen him, I'm sticking with him forever. A cold, sharp voice cut through the air from behind them. If you don't want to come back, then don't ever come back again. The guy yapping is Bata, a patrol captain in Batu's go-to lapdog. Oh yeah, you left the tribe, so you're officially a nobody to us now. Scram right now, or I'm labeling you a trespasser and taking you out. With that, the clown slammed his bone dagger deep into the dirt. Agu couldn't just stand there and watch this trash talk anymore. Bata, by what right do you get to decide she isn't part of the tribe? She's just been brainwashed by that thief, that's all. Bata didn't even bother looking in her direction. Aya kept her cool. Captain Bata, you've got it twisted. I'm not here to stay, I just want my mom's heirloom back. That heirloom? You mean those ivory tusks? Yeah, and that's exactly why you're not getting them. Bata sneered. Those tusks belong to the tribe's legendary hero, Batu. You're a descendant of a hero, yet you betrayed us for some petty thief? Where do you get the nerve to even ask? Ogu was shaking with rage. Hero Batu was her father, so why shouldn't she have them? Before she could even finish, Bata slapped Agu across the face, sending her face planting into the dirt until she went lights out. Agu! Oya checked her pulse. Thank the gods, she just got knocked out. She looked up, her eyes literally glowing with pure heat. Everything she said is facts, so why did you have to go that hard on her? Bata couldn't care less, smirked, and said, You want the tusks? Sure, there's a way, but unless you walk barefoot through the thorn patch, he said, and Aya's face went pale instantly. The thorn patch is basically the tribe's go-to torture chamber for traitors. Once those thorns pierce your skin, you break out in hives so itchy you'd wish you were dead. In the end, you either die from the madness or just end it yourself to stop the pain. Not a single soul who walked into that patch has ever walked back out. Seeing the terror in Aya's eyes, he chuckled like a complete psycho. Or take the second option, crawl back to the tribe and become Batu's personal property. A crowd started gathering, with NPCs whispering and trying to talk her into it. Aya, stop being stubborn, Batu is a catch, honestly. It's way better than starving and freezing to death with that loser thief. Aya ignored the noise, turned her back on them, and walked straight toward the thorn patch. Wait, what is she actually doing? Bata frowned, clearly not expecting this Sigma energy. Aya didn't look back, her voice calm as if she was just deciding what to have for dinner. I'll walk barefoot through the thorn fields. Even if I die, I won't betray my man. She marched straight toward the spikes, leaving the whole crowd shook. Batu was watching from the shadows, grinding his teeth in pure rage. Why would this chick rather die than be my woman? But the next second, a sinister smirk crept across his face. That works too, since I'm the only one in the tribe who knows the cure for the poison. Just wait, she'll be begging me for help soon enough. Aya reached the edge of the thorns and kicked off her fur boots. Aya, don't do it. Agu, having woken up at some point, lunged forward like a madman to stop her. But it was too late. Aya had already stepped into the gauntlet. Sharp thorns instantly pierced her soft, pale feet. Blood was pouring out, but she gritted her teeth and pushed forward, even as red hives broke out all over her body, the itching feeling like ants crawling deep inside her very bones. She collapsed into the thorns, her body shredded and bleeding, but she stood back up and kept walking. Even a hardened veteran like Bata couldn't help but feel a spark of respect. This is definitely the kind of woman our big boss would want. A dull thud interrupted his thoughts, and Bata's pupils shrunk as he took a closer look. Aya had actually made it to the other side, but she was a total wreck, covered in wounds with her furs soaked in blood. The worst part was the poison making her scratch at her own skin like a maniac. Her fingernails were caked with blood. Agu rushed over, crying, and grabbed her hands to stop her. Bata, she passed the test. Call Badu here to save her right now. Bata coldly replied, and why exactly should I save her? Unless she agrees to be the boss's woman, nobody here is lifting a finger. Aya wheezed, her voice weak but firm. Give back the ivory tusks. Bata curled his lip into a scumbag grin. Did I ever say when I'd give them to you? The crowd started whispering, clearly pissed off at his spineless flip-flopping, but then Bata shot them a death glare, and nobody dared to make a peep. In this primitive world, having the biggest fists means you make the rules. The itching on Aya's body was hitting a fever pitch, and she couldn't stop her violent shaking. Agu could only hold her hands just as Ya was about to break and beg Gu to end her misery. Don't be scared, I'm here now. The voice sounded like it crawled straight out of hell, yet dropped from the heavens. Ya lifted her head, her eyes suddenly catching a spark of hope. How did you even find me? Seeing her covered in wounds made my blood boil, straight up rage mode activated. I pulled my piece and pointed it right at Batap's dome. Look, I'm not in the mood today. Get lost before I lose it. The cold barrel of the gun stared him right in the face. Batap's throat gulped hard. The clown was too shook to say a word. I smirked, unimpressed. So that's all the guts you've got? No wonder you're just a low-life who only bullies women. I stepped toward Ya, ignoring everyone else. Gu blocked my path again, eyes burning with absolute hatred. You thief, haven't you caused her enough trouble already? She's literally on death's door. Are you really trying to finish the job? I don't have the patience to argue with a bot like you. Hand her over, I'm the only one who can actually save her. Save her? Gu scoffed. Besides stealing, what else are you good for? If you didn't have that black box, any random NPC in this tribe could iced you already. Gu, just let him save me, I trust him. Ya's weak, trembling voice came from behind us. I didn't even look at Gu, just grabbed Ya with one arm. Her wounds looked bad, but nothing that would end her run just yet. The real problem was those nasty red bumps, some kind of allergic reaction. Plus, her body temperature was spiking like crazy. I reached into my bag, and just that simple movement made Batap scramble back like a coward. What are you doing, huh? I'm warning you. This is my turf. You touch me, and you're finished. 10 of our best warriors are right here ready to end you. But honestly, not a single one of those frauds dared to make the first move. These scrubs are literally terrified of a black box. I let out a cold smirk. That's it? I could scare the life out of you guys with just a pack of pills. I pulled a capsule out of my pocket and fed it to Aya with some water. Everyone was staring, waiting to see if she'd kick the bucket. Even Agu was clenching his fists in suspense. 10 minutes later, the red rashes on Aya's skin vanished completely, and her fever dropped back to normal. I breathed a sigh of relief. Thank God I stocked up on gear before I transmigrated. My bag is basically a walking pharmacy. Never thought these basic meds would actually clutch up today. Bata's eyes bulged. Wait, he actually pulled it off? The whole crowd started buzzing with pure shock. Ding, system notification. Achievement unlocked. Cured an allergic reaction using God-tier East meets West medicine. The system pinged in my head, making me raise an eyebrow. Bro, is that even a real achievement? Before I could process the massive data dump, Aya spoke up weakly from my arms. I feel so much better now. You're amazing. But how did you know I was at the tribe? I flashed a grin. I'm not exactly a dummy, you know. I saw how you looked yesterday, knew something was up, and when I didn't see you today, I just guessed you came here. Aya's eyes were full of pure simp energy. She didn't care who was watching and just clung to me like a koala. A moment later, she finally snapped out of her love-struck haze, looked at all the warriors staring us down, and whispered, Big bro, let's head out. You're done here, right? Done? Like, actually finished? She tried to brush it off, but Agu wasn't about to let it slide. What are you talking about? Bata forced him to walk through the thornfield, and he hasn't even returned the ivory yet. Oya got called out by her bestie and turned bright red from embarrassment. I couldn't help but ruffle her hair. Don't worry, leave it to me. I looked up and shouted at the figure, lurking in the back of the crowd. Hey you, cough up the heirlooms belonging to Aya's father. Bata was shaking from the gun, but he was too stubborn to lose face in front of the tribe. Keep dreaming, loser. If you've got the guts, come take them yourself. I didn't say another word. I just drew my gun. But Tap realized he was cooked and immediately scurried behind his warriors. Come on, shoot me then, if you dare. Let's see if you can make it out of this tribe alive after you put me in the ground, he barked, as both sides stayed locked in a tense standoff. Suddenly, Badu's cold, menacing voice echoed from the sidelines. Good, really good. You actually have some guts. Can't believe you actually managed to heal her. He strolled out, locking eyes with me like a predator, eyeing a snack, clearly itching to snatch back his father's relic. No problem, you fight Batap hand to hand. If you win, you get the relic back. But if you lose, you hand over your medicine stash. I flashed a savage grin, replying, playing for small stakes? That's boring as hell. Forget the spirit stones we bet earlier. I want to bet our lives on this. A fight to the death, winner takes all, and the entire arena went silent under the weight of my killing intent. Badu snapped out of it, his eyes lighting up with pure greed. Fine, it's a deal. But you aren't allowed to use that black box of yours. Otherwise, my warriors will stop at nothing to turn you into mulch. With the terms set, the crowd scrambled back to clear a circle. But Tap cracked his knuckles, his face twisted in pure arrogance. I don't know if you're brave or just plain stupid. Without that little black box, you actually think you can survive a death match against me? I didn't say a word, just stared at him with cold indifference. He thought I was just too terrified to even speak. He lunged forward and threw a massive punch. Is that all the power you've got, clown? Let me show you how to finish a fight in one go. The whole crowd was stunned into silence. I caught his punch with just one hand, completely unfazed. How the hell is your strength this insane? Badu gasped, his jaw hitting the floor. I slipped behind him, kicked the back of his knees, and sent him crashing down. Think it's fun to bully a girl, huh? But Tap's knees buckled, and he was forced to kneel directly on the dirt. Well, think my tens are snapped and I'm down for the count? Think again, scrub. Every single punch landed with surgical precision on his pressure points. With my god-tier medical knowledge, I know exactly where the off switch on your body is. The pathetic, soul-crushing shrieks of Bata echoed across the entire arena. Batu's face went darker than a void realm, and he suddenly tossed a bone blade into the dirt. Bata, catch the blade and end him. Bata reached out, hyped up to finish the job, but he didn't expect me to launch into the air and grab the hilt first. The smirk on his face turned to stone, replaced by pure, unadulterated terror. No, please, don't kill me. I stared down at this loser, remembering exactly how much blood Aya lost because of him. You almost sent her to the afterlife, bro. You deserve to die 1,000 deaths. I swung the blade, blood sprayed everywhere, and Bata's head hit the ground with a thud. Batu was absolutely losing his mind with rage. You dare commit murder, right here in my tribe. Warriors, swarm him, take his head. Even though Aya was weak, she stood right by my side, her eyes filled with regret. I'm sorry, I've dragged you into this mess. You dummy, I said, ruffling her hair. We don't do dragging into things, we're a team. Time to get ready for a boss fight. My hand slipped into my pouch, feeling the cold metallic weight of my secret weapon. A grenade. If things go south, I'm sending this whole squad to the afterlife with me. Just as the brawl was about to pop off, a booming voice silenced the entire courtyard. Everyone stand down. The elder hobbled out, eyes darting to Batu with pure disappointment. Isn't it embarrassing enough to fight dirty on your own turf and still lose? You call yourself a warrior? Man up, take the L and hand the ivory back to Aya. Batu tried to talk back, but one glare from the elder shut him up instantly. Moments later, someone brought the ivory over and handed it to Aya. Aya hugged the tusks tight, eyes misting over as she bowed to the elder. Thank you, Chief. The elder nodded. Even though you've moved out, you're always welcome back home. Batu gritted his teeth. Chief, he literally killed 2 of our elite fighters. The elder whipped his head around, his gaze sharp enough to cut glass. And tell me, why exactly did Bamang and Bata have to die? You think you're so special, huh? Looks like I'm getting too old and blind, 'cause you clearly aren't cut out to lead this tribe. Bado's pupils dilated, and he just stood there frozen like an NPC. The old man didn't even give him a second look, walking straight up to me. I don't want us to become enemies, just because of some petty personal agenda. What do you think? I stared at him, knowing damn well that if the medicine in my hand hadn't piqued his interest, even if Anai and I died right here, he wouldn't have even bothered to look in our direction. But I kept my cool and gave him the only response that mattered. Sounds fair. My stash of trump cards is low. I've only got 4 bullets left, and the grenade is a last resort, so I'm not burning it yet. If the dude wants to call a truce, I'm not going to say no. After some fake pleasantries, I grabbed Anya and we dipped. As we left the camp, I glanced back and saw Bado standing in the crowd, his eyes looking dark enough to kill. I know this isn't over, but whatever. We've got time. By the time we made it back to the treehouse, the sun had already set. I used my god-tier medical skills to give Ana a thorough checkup. Once I confirmed she was actually good, I finally caught my breath. You've had a long day, go take a bath. Once you're done, use this ointment I mixed up. It'll heal the wounds so you don't end up with any scars. She took the sticky jar, looking at me like I was trolling her. This stuff actually works? Do I look like the type to lie to you? Fine. Whatever. She hesitated for a second before looking back up at me. But the riverbank is super dangerous at night. How am I supposed to bathe out there? I was dead silent for a second. Then I just started laughing. I pulled her into a separate room and pointed at a massive stone basin filled with water. I'd already lit some small fires underneath it to heat the thing up. Just strip down and hop in. Anal looked at the basin, then at the fire, then back at me. Her eyes welled up instantly, and she started tearing up, acting all heartbroken. You used to be so nice to me, so why are you trying to stew me the moment you turn around? I was literally speechless. Stew you? Who's trying to stew you? This is just for a warm bath, and those animal skins are there for you to dry off. After a long session of hand gestures and explaining, she finally clicked, face still tear-stained, but she started shyly giggling. Talk about luxury, using divine flames just to heat up bathwater. She's been alive this long, and this is the first time she's seen such a thing. Once I saw she got the point, I pulled a square block out of my storage ring and handed it over. This is called soap. It's made from charcoal mixed with animal fat. I even tossed in some flower petals so you'll smell like a snack when you're done. She took a curious sniff and her eyes lit up. It actually smelled amazing. I was just about to turn and bounce when a warm body suddenly pressed against my back. 2 arms wrapped around my waist, and she rested her chin right on my shoulder. Do you want to bathe together? Her fingers were already tracing circles on my chest. I damn near jumped out of my skin and bolted. Back in the living area, I clutched my pounding heart and wiped the sweat off my forehead. Where in the world did this girl learn these moves? I didn't sleep a wink that night. Not for any other reason, it was just way too dangerous tonight. The next day, I headed into the forest with 2 massive dark circles under my eyes. Ya stayed back at the treehouse to get some rest. I searched along the path and managed to find a few wild fruits. But crops are viable seeds for farming, not a single trace. Just as I was feeling salty, a beast's roar suddenly ripped through the air. My reflexes kicked in instantly, and I dove into the nearby brush. Peeking through the leaves, I saw a giant black wolf sprinting like a maniac straight toward me. Behind it, a pack of gray wolves was hot on its tail. One look and I knew, wait, isn't that the same wolf I popped with my gun when I first transmigrated here? System appraisal. Species prehistoric mutant giant wolf, black man wolf king, stats, combat power through the roof. Right on cue, the system pops up with a notification. I take another look at those gray wolves, the Huangyuan gray wolf pack. In seconds, the pack has the black wolf completely surrounded. The black wolf isn't hesitating. It goes full berserker mode and charges the weakest one. Absolute chaos erupts. Blood is flying everywhere, and the beastly roars are shaking the forest. Even though it's outnumbered and has a massive gash on its side, our guy is still the alpha. A few gray wolves are already hitting the dirt, permanently offline, but the black wolf is still standing strong, even if that wound is looking fatal. It's losing blood fast, clearly hitting its final HP bar. I'm about to ghost the scene when the black wolf lets out one final roar, and a few dark lumps slide out from under it. It's a litter of pups. The mother used every last bit of her stamina just to give birth. Then those magical eyes slowly close, never to open again. I freeze for a sec, then rush over to check on them. The pups didn't survive the brutal fight. They didn't even get to see the world before getting wrecked. I let out a sigh and start to walk away, but my eyes catch something moving under the mother's belly. I crouch down and clear the area, and a tiny black head pokes out from under the corpse. I pull out my bone knife and carefully dig it out. The little guy is soaking wet, eyes still shut, whining and nuzzling into my palm. I wipe it off with some pelt and hold it up to get a good look. Yep, it's a wolf pup. All right, look, I'm partially responsible for your mom's death anyway. From now on, you're coming home to the treehouse. When Ya sees the fluff ball in my arms, she nearly jumps out of her skin. Why are you bringing home a wolf pup? Won't it just grow up and try to turn us into dinner? I laugh. Relax, I used to be a pro at training dogs back in the service. When this kid grows up, he's gonna be our ultimate sidekick. Her eyes go wide, and she's like, you want to tame a wolf? You're actually insane. She leans in to get a better look at the tiny black fluff ball and lets out a gasp. If I'm not mistaken, this is the heir to the black maned alpha. It's destined to be the leader of the pack, so we definitely need to raise it right. I pat its head, adding that we'll need to hunt for some fresh milk if we want it to survive. Wa hesitates for a moment, but eventually she nods. Fast forward a few days, and she's had a complete personality swap. She's carrying the pup around like it's her own baby, acting like he's her entire world. Guess even in the primitive era, girls have zero defense against tiny, fuzzy creatures. She even named the little wolf pup isekai'd. And just like that, the new life of 2 humans and 1 wolf began. Aya was basically the designated pet sitter for isekai'd. Meanwhile, I was busy leveling up this wolf, watching it grow into a beast under our care. Before long, the little guy was already the size of a modern-day mastiff. So today, I went deep into the forest to hunt for some beast milk for isekai'd. Thwack! A random fruit dropped straight onto my head like a targeted strike. I looked up to see this monkey sitting in the tree, grinning and mocking me like the little NPC it is. I couldn't be bothered to deal with that trash. The monkey saw I wasn't triggered, got bored, and just scurried off. But my eyes stayed glued to the tree where that little pest was just sitting. The fruit didn't look exactly like the apples from my memories, but I knew an apple tree when I saw one. My heart started racing. I scrambled up the tree, grabbed one, wiped the dirt off, and took a bite, super sour and astringent. Can't let it go to waste, so I picked every last one, smashed them, and tossed the seeds into my fur pouch. I was all set to head home and start my own little farming empire. Boom, boom, boom. The ground started shaking, and a giant shadow came charging straight at me. It was a wild ox, you know the type. Massive build, broken stats, but usually slow as hell. I shifted my weight at the last second, barely dodging that meathead. The ox was moving way too fast and couldn't hit the brakes. It rammed straight into a huge tree, and those massive horns got stuck deep in the trunk, totally helpless. Do you really think I'm going to be polite to this walking dinner? While it was struggling, I pulled out my bone blade and sliced its throat open. Blood went flying everywhere. The wild ox thrashed around like a total loser before collapsing to the ground. I waited until it stopped twitching before I pried it loose from the tree. Looking at this absolute unit of a kill, a smirk just crept onto my face. This dumb ox probably got lured in by the smell of the smashed fruit I was carrying. Talk about having all the muscle but 0 brain cells. Once I figured that out, I dragged the ox with one hand and carried the smashed fruit with the other, heading back to the treehouse. Just as I was getting close, I frowned. There was animal dung everywhere. What kind of beast is out here leaving messes like this? I was still whispering to myself when a black blur suddenly dashed out. It was isekai'd, wagging its tail and rubbing against my legs like a good boy. Aya poked her head out of the treehouse, and when she saw the massive ox I was dragging, her eyes went wide as dinner plates. Oh my god, how on earth did you do that? I told her the whole story, and her eyes literally turned into sparkles. Probably because in her mind, this was definitely a divine blessing. Oh right, I pointed at the pile of literal crap scattered everywhere. Like, where did all this even come from? She shook her head, saying she smelled it the second she walked out the door. I frowned but didn't overthink it, deciding I'd deal with that trash later. I dragged the stuff to an open field and covered it in calcium carbonate, took out the apple seeds, prepped them, and planted them in the dirt. Once some time passes, I'll evolve this crop into something better, since at the end of the day, it's gotta be edible. Next, I ripped off those massive wild bullhorns and started crafting. 2 curved, razor-sharp bullhorn blades were officially finished. I took a casual swing at a nearby tree, no effort needed, and the trunk just cracked open. Not bad, I'll keep one and give the other to Aya for self-defense. I grabbed the bull tendons and long cords, washed off the greases and grime, and set them out to dry on a massive rock. With these materials, I've basically got enough to craft a bow and arrows. After handling that grind, I went back to processing the beef. But mid-wash, my hands just froze. The rice had been partially dissolved by the bull's stomach acid, so it wasn't plantable anymore. But if I could track down where that herd lives, I'd definitely be able to find more rice. Once I secure those seeds, I can start farming and finally get myself some hot, steamed rice. I've been transmigrated for so long now, and the obsession for rice is real. This just solidified my goal to hunt down that herd of wild bulls. Once isekai'd gets a bit bigger, I'll use his nose to sniff out some leads. Time to eat. In no time, I had the beef grilled to perfection. I gave the signal, and isekai'd charged in, grabbed a chunk, and started tearing into it. I handed the bullhorn blade to Aya. She took it, her eyes practically glowing. It's so beautiful. She was obsessed with the blade, flipping it over and over before slicing through a chunk of beef like it was butter. Is this thing actually made from bullhorns? It's insanely sharp. I just gave her a knowing nod. Suddenly, her vibe shifted and she gave me that look, you know, the dangerous kind. Ugh, stop it. We're already a couple. No need to keep dropping these hints. I'm literally just waiting for the right moment to have your babies. I was speechless, still reeling from being played by this girl, when she suddenly gasped in pure shock. Oh my god, why is this meat so damn good? What kind of secret sauce did you put in this? I pulled a jar out from behind a rock, looking all mysterious with those little white crystals stuck to the glass. There was a bit of liquid sitting at the bottom of the jar. Anya leaned in close and realized it was just seawater. Exactly. I explained that when you dry south seawater, you get these white crystals. It's called salt, and it's basically the ultimate seasoning hack. The real refining process is way more complicated, but I kept the explanation simple for her. She listened, and I could practically see the gears turning in her head with some wild idea. Wait, are you actually some kind of immortal god or something? That caught me off guard, and I couldn't help but laugh. Gods, don't be ridiculous, there's no such thing. It's just people with knowledge ahead of their time, acting like they're supernatural. So, are you one of those people then? I didn't answer, just kept my eyes locked on hers with a serious expression. If I ever had to leave this world one day, what would you do? She froze for a second, and her eyes started getting all misty. Are you dying? If you go, I'm definitely going with you. I didn't say die, I meant leaving this world entirely. I thought she'd be confused, but she didn't even hesitate to ask where I was headed. I'm following you anywhere. Like I said, you're stuck with me for this lifetime. If you're really leaving, we'll just bring Zai along, and as long as the three of us are together, home is wherever we are. I felt a sting in my nose and pulled her into a tight hug. Fine, if that day ever comes, I promise I'm taking you and Zai with me. We finished eating, and the sun was already starting to dip below the horizon. I grabbed the tendons and the long fibers hanging nearby, tested their elasticity, and braided them into a bowstring, slapped it onto the bow frame I prepped earlier, did some quick adjustments, and still had some string left over. And just like that, the first bow of the primordial age was born. Ding! Congrats, host, you've unlocked the first bow achievement. Reward: archery mastery and 100% accuracy rate. Reward: blueprint for a heavy-duty crossbow. I couldn't help but let out a hype reaction. My god, that's absolutely cracked. Aya looked at me, totally confused. My god. And what exactly does cracked mean? I awkwardly scratched my head and just made up some nonsense. Like, when someone pulls off something insane, it leaves everyone shook, right? She nodded along, looking dazed. So, my god shows you're stunned out of your mind. Oh, so that's it. I get it now. Her little head was bobbing up and down like a pecking chicken. I grabbed a bone-tipped arrow off the ground, knocked it, pulled the string, and aimed at a bird in the sky. I mean, this cracked bow was pulled back like a crescent moon, and the moment I let go, a blur tore across the sky. The bird dropped, and Zai zoomed out like a pro, snatched the loot, and came trotting back to me. See? Cracked just means it's straight up overpowered. Like how I just one-tapped that bird with an arrow. That's top-tier cracked. Aya's eyes went wide, like she just discovered a whole new world. That's insane. I want to learn too. How do I use this thing? I gave her a smirk. No problem. Once I'm done, I'll use the leftover string to make you something even more cracked and way more OP. Wait, for real? What is it? I hadn't even finished my sentence when a deafening wolf howl cut me off. Blackie instantly arched his back, baring his fangs with a low, warning growl. My heart sank as I remembered all that random animal poop showing up out of nowhere earlier. Combine that with this sudden howling. Oh, we are cooked. The elders back home used to say that if there's mystery animal dung everywhere, livestock starts vanishing, and the wolves start howling. It means the pack has marked your village as a buffet. Add in Blackie's hostile reaction, and I can confirm, the wolves are definitely coming for us. Could it be that gray wolf that actually survived the black wolf ambush earlier? It's been stalking me this entire time. Realizing the situation, I immediately barked, Aya, get Blackie into the treehouse now. I'll cover the rear. She was quick on the uptake, caught on to the red flags immediately, grabbed Blackie, and bolted for the treehouse. I followed close behind. Wolves are hyper-intelligent. They aren't going to pull a move during broad daylight. That's way too risky for them. They're definitely waiting for the cover of darkness to strike. By twilight, the world went dead silent, and suddenly, glowing green eyes started popping up all along the tree line. Meanwhile, on a hill not far off, Bado and a dozen of his lackeys were watching the whole thing go down. Building a nest in a tree? That's some weirdo behavior. A twisted, sinister grin crept across his face. No matter how smart that brat thinks he is, he's absolutely doomed this time, his sidekick chimed in. Once the big boss steps in to save the day, Aya will be yours for the taking. Bado sneered, it's all that thief's fault. He stole the woman who was meant to be mine and cost me my reputation. Today, I'm ending that thief and taking back what's mine. Turns out, Bado had been stalking me this whole time and actually spotted the wolf pack movements way before I did. He's been holding back just to let the wolves tire me out, hoping to deal with me while I'm exhausted. The pack had already formed a fan-shaped formation, completely surrounding us. From the treehouse, I looked down at 23 gray wolves closing in, including one in the center that was abnormally huge. Probably the alpha. Blackie was shaking, staring right at that monster. I felt a weird pulsing in my blood, so I just calmly reached down to pet his head. Don't sweat it, kid. As the pack drew Right on cue, Ana yanked the tripwire with zero hesitation. Those wooden planks packed with spikes hidden in the trees came crashing down like a death sentence. The wolf pack was so thirsty for the treehouse that they didn't even see it coming. The gray wolves got absolutely shredded, turned into human or wolf pincushions. The pack leader had cat-like reflexes and barely managed to dodge. Just one hit and the pack went from 23 down to 16. Talk about a skill issue. Over in the nearby woods, Bado and his goons heard the wolves crying for their mamas. Wait, why are the wolves screaming like that? What the hell did they even do? Bado's face went dark. He's clearly losing his patience. He decided to flank them and coordinate with the wolves to storm the treehouse. Ana was jumping for joy, looking like an absolute legend. That trap I prepped earlier actually paid off, huge W. Honestly, I'm still a little shook. If the system hadn't hooked me up with those crafting skills earlier, we'd be absolutely cooked right now. Being prepared in this era is literally the difference between life and death. Don't pop the champagne just yet, though. I kept my eyes locked on the remaining wolves. We only took out the trash and a few extras. The pack leader is still breathing. There are still 16 of them left. I grabbed a thin wooden rod, lit it on fire, and notched it onto my bow. The fire arrows landed dead center into the piles of dry grass I'd stashed. The flames erupted instantly. The wolves got boxed in by fire and had nowhere to run but straight ahead. And that's exactly where I dug the kill zone. The edge of the pit collapsed, and the gray wolves tumbled straight into their graves. All that leftover wood from the spiked trap? Yeah, I used it all, and every bit of this was part of the master plan. The fire wasn't just to look cool. It was the setup for the finishing blow. It's just lucky that making this bow today let me trigger the trap early. I finally let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. That wild ox we caught today was the real MVP for the supplies. Otherwise, the sudden bonfire might have tipped off Badu and his goons to our location. Why are these wolves getting clapped so hard? One of the lackeys gasped, feeling the absolute chills. What kind of cracked-out weapon is he holding? They circled around the treehouse, only to see me straight up farming 7 wolves at the doorstep. The sheer power of that longbow had everyone shaking in their boots. Big bro, we need to dip like yesterday. One primitive dude looked terrified, forcing his attack. Maybe we should wait for a better shot? Badu gritted his teeth, feeling absolutely salty about the situation. But even though the weapon in my hand didn't look as broken as that guy's gun, it had way more range than any of their gear. He led his squad and scurried off into the night. By now, the alpha wolf was tilted beyond belief, originally thinking its pack of 23 would just steamroll the map. Never expected them to be the ones getting wiped without even landing a single scratch on the enemy. It looked at the last 4 gray wolves standing, let out a frustrated roar, and dipped deep into the forest. I fired a few shots, but it dodged them all, so I gripped my bow and stared it down. This alpha is built different. Things are going to get real sweaty from here on out. Looks like I need to set up way more traps. Bright and early the next morning, I grabbed my bone axe to head out. Last night's battle made me realize that power is the only thing that matters in this world. If that wild ox hadn't spawned in to feed me, relying on these janky, unfinished traps would have been a death sentence. The odds for me, Aya, and Heize were looking real slim. I needed way too much wood this time, and solo grinding just isn't efficient enough. Gotta drag Aya along for the assist. Heize, hold down the fort. The little guy just slumped by the door, looking salty. What kind of wolf doesn't want to go for a stroll with its owner? He's a mutated black wolf, literally the son of the alpha. His IQ is cracked. He knows he's got to guard the crops from any mobs trying to grief the base. Aya and I dashed into the dense, overgrown forest. We picked a birch grove. The wood there is high tier and hard, perfect for building defenses and crafting more weapons. I swung my bone axe, absolutely chunking the tree trunk. Aya was right there, speedrunning the cleanup of all the branches I cleared. We even flexed our engineering skills by crafting a wooden cart to haul the loot. After grinding for half an hour, the cart was almost maxed out. Suddenly, a low-pitched growl echoed from deep in the woods, making the leaves rustle like crazy. My heart skipped a beat. I froze and signaled Yada duck, whispering for her to keep it down. Based on the noise, that thing is huge. Through the mist, a massive shadow slowly emerges, covered in thick blackish-brown fur. Its limbs are like tree trunks, and those claws look absolutely lethal. It's an adult black grizzly, way more aggressive than that wild ox I fought earlier. Plus, with hide that thick, regular attacks are basically just tickling it. Wa's voice is shaking, saying that hunters back in the tribe couldn't even take one down with a 10-man squad. We need to dip, like right now. She grabbed my arm and started hauling me back toward the house. I shook my head, dead serious. Not gonna happen. That bear is way faster than us. Turning our backs to run is just begging to get mauled. We have to stand our ground. While we were arguing, the beast suddenly lunged right at us. The pressure was insane, so I shoved Ya aside and swung my bone axe with everything I had. Clang! My axe bounced off like I hit a wall, and my whole arm went numb. The grizzly was stunned for a second that a weak human dared to hit back, then it went full berserk and swung its claws at my head. I used my agility to dodge by a hair, scanning the ground for literally anything I could use. I pointed at the vines and my bow, telling her to grab the rope while I shoved the cart aside. I screamed the order at her. Yeah, I was terrified, but she trusted the plan and followed my lead. She started snatching up the heavy vines. I grabbed the vine, whipped it around a thick tree to make a snare, and started taunting the beast. The bear took the bait and completely lost its mind. It roared and charged, but the second it was about to crush me, I dodged and yanked the line hard. The bear couldn't hit the brakes, and its front leg got caught perfectly in the trap. The vine tightened instantly, anchoring its leg to the tree. It's thrashing like a maniac, shaking the whole tree, but it's stuck for good. This is the moment I grabbed my axe, pulled my bow, and knocked a fire arrow. I kept this lit torch from last night specifically for a moment like this. I pulled the string taut and locked my sights on the bear's eye. That's its only weak spot. The arrow landed dead center and torched its fur to a crisp. The dark gray bear let out a blood-curdling screech. It started thrashing around like it was having a seizure. The vines were reaching their breaking point, so I couldn't afford to blink. I dashed over, raised my bone axe, and put every ounce of my strength into blinding its final eye. Another pathetic scream echoed through the woods. With both eyes gone, the bear was just blindly slamming into trees like a total NPC. I knew sticking to this plan wasn't going to cut it for long. The vines were failing fast. I shouted back at Aya. Aya, throw all those heavy logs from the cart over here right now. Aya didn't hesitate, hucking every single bundle of wood she had in my direction. I stacked the wood around the bear like a death trap pyre and doused it in the beast fat I brought. This was the stash I'd refined earlier for greasing bows and gear. Who would have thought it'd be a bonfire starter? I struck the flint, and the whole thing went up like a wildfire. A massive inferno engulfed the beast, loud enough to wake the dead. The sound of burning flesh and dying screams filled the air. The bear's struggle finally started to lose momentum, and once it collapsed into the sea of flames, I let out a massive sigh of relief. My body felt like it had been drained, so I just flopped onto the ground. My back was drenched in cold sweat from that absolute chaos. Aya sprinted over to help me up. I stared at the bear roasting in the inferno. That fur is thick as hell. Once the fire dies, we're crafting some high-tier leather armor. It's going to be a cozy winter for us. Plus, this meat is going to be a major stat boost for the pup. Once the flames finally died down, we moved in to harvest the loot. We carefully skinned the beast and loaded those prime chunks of meat onto the cart. The cart was already half empty, but now it was stacked with bear pelt and high-grade jerky. All right, it's getting heavy. Let's bounce before something else shows up. I took the lead on pulling the cart. Aya stayed close, helping me haul it back home. The duo made a beeline for the treehouse. Little did we know, a tragic scene was unfolding back at the cave. Our boy Hazai was just bored, wandering around the mining site. Somehow, he ended up wandering right into the hideout where Aya and I have been cooking. The cave was stacked with all the gear I've been crafting. Even the new bow was there, since we're still stuck using wood and animal bones as mats. That workshop was basically a sawdust factory, so I kept it hidden away here. Hazai knows better than to touch the high-tier loot. He's not some brainless husky, you know. He did a quick lap around the place, ready to dip. That's when some tiny yellow flowers caught his attention. The surrounding cliffs were covered in thick green moss. Our little guy had never seen this stuff, so he was peak curiosity mode. He leaned in for a quick sniff. A weird scent smacked him right in the snout. Bro went full berserk, clawing at the dirt until some brown object popped out. He took a bite, realized it was hard, and claimed his new toy, ready to bounce. Suddenly, Hazai's ears perked up, and he started letting out a low-key warning growl. He crept toward the cave entrance like a pro. A few dudes in fur pelts were trying to sneak a peek inside. Yo, look at this, one of them whispered. Isn't that the wolf pup that was with that guy last night? It was Batu and his crew of sidekicks, plotting something shady. Another savage walked up from a distance. Boss, we checked everywhere. Can't find their weapon stash. Think they took those OP items out with them. Batu's eyes were glowing with straight greed. No way those cracked weapons are just a one-off. Let's raid the cave and see. Hazai knew these NPCs were bad news. He lowered his front paws, ready to scrap. Batu and his goons just laughed. Imagine thinking a puppy can take us on. Hazai totally caught that look of disrespect in their eyes. With a roar, he launched himself straight at them. Too bad he's still a kit. His stats aren't even close to his mama's yet. Batu reacted at light speed, hitting him with a kick to the ribs that sent our boy flying. He brushed off his clothes, looking down with a mocking smirk. Look at this trash, playing bodyguard like a dog, instead of acting like a wolf. I think we should just call it dog. Boss, that name is perfect. It fits so well. From now on, a new species exists, and all his lackeys just started barking along. Hazai gritted his teeth, enduring the agonizing pain in his waist. The alpha wolf bloodline pulsing in his veins refused to let him go down. He adjusted his stance, ready to pounce, while Batu flashed a sinister grin, telling his lackey, "See if you can find that weapon. I'm going to have some fun with this little puppy." "Yes, sir." The group of primitives swaggered into the cave. Heise tried to block them, but Batu cut him off. "Come here, kid. Let's play." He crouched down, laughing. "You keep defying me over and over, stealing my girl and sabotaging me. I'm going to make you pay back some interest." Heise was furious, a guttural growl escaping his throat as he lunged forward. But the power gap was too huge. Batu raised his bone spear and slammed it into him, pinning him to the ground. "Don't worry, I won't kill you." He stepped on Heise's head. "I know that thief likes you. I'll make sure he comes back to see you wishing you were dead." The grin on Batu's face grew even more twisted. "This kid's got a tough spine, huh?" Just then, the primitives searched the cave, gathering wooden bows, swords, and a bunch of random tools. "Boss, found the weapons." Batu snatched a longbow, flipping it over while grinning like an absolute clown. "These weapons are made from animal tendons and horns. Honestly, I could probably craft these myself. Once I do, none of the surrounding tribes will stand a chance against me." Watching Batu go full psycho, one of his lackeys walked over holding a dark brown stone. "Boss, besides these weird gadgets, we also found this rock that's hard as hell. It's the same one Heize dug up from underground earlier." Batu glanced at it and barked, "Why the hell would I need that trash? Smash it all, just take the weapons and we're good. Destroy every weird thing you see in this place." He paused, a flicker of pure malice in his eyes. "Give me that rock. I'll show this puppy." Grabbing the rock, he ordered the goons to pry Heidi's jaws open and shove that thing straight down his throat. "Think your bones are made of steel, huh? I'm about to show you what it feels like to have your insides turned into spaghetti." Once that rock went down the hatch, Haite started convulsing as agonizing pain erupted from his gut. Despite his body shaking uncontrollably, Haite just stared at Badu without making a single sound. Badu finally felt a little bit of petty satisfaction. He strutted off with his goons, leaving Haite there, bleeding out and gasping for air. Meanwhile, Anya and I were totally oblivious, busy hauling our sled back to the treehouse. System alert. Host successfully crafted a sled, reward unlocked, stone hoe blueprint. This hoe is a top-tier farming tool from the Neolithic era with a sleek handle and a razor-sharp blade. With this bad boy, our farming efficiency is going to skyrocket. Once Haite gets a bit bigger, I'll take him to that abandoned village to scavenge for some soybeans to plant. Then we'll build an ox cart, and it's officially time for the lazy lifestyle. When we finally reached the treehouse, the scene in front of me made my heart drop. Our entire farm plot was absolutely trashed. Damn it, who did this? I scanned the area and my blood turned to ice. Where's Haite? Usually, he's the first one to rush out and greet us the second we get home. Why is he nowhere to be found? The ground is covered in human footprints. A sinking feeling of dread hit me hard. Tools can be replaced, but losing a loved one? That's permanent. Anya and I immediately split up to look for him. Very quickly, Anya found Haite, barely holding on to his life in front of the cave. She cradled him in her arms, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. I forced myself to stay calm and knelt down to check his injuries. His limbs were shattered, and his waist was severely wounded. "Anya, stop crying. Haite still has a pulse. We can save him. I swear I'll fix him up." My hand touched his stomach, and I felt something hard inside. Damn it, pure, unadulterated rage flooded my brain. Which absolute piece of trash did this? "I swear on my life, whoever you are, I'm gonna make sure you suffer a fate worse than death." Anya pulled me back, telling me to focus on saving Haite first and worry about the rest later. I snapped back to reality and rushed into the cave to look for supplies. The cave was gutted, all the weapons were gone, and the tools were smashed to pieces. My blood started boiling even harder. Just then, the system notification pinged inside my head. The system senses the host is pressed and tweaking, so it's activating back-to-back emergency quests. Your mission: keep this little black cub breathing, or else. Reward: 1 bottle of rapid growth and fortification serum. Quest 2: track down the clown who trashed your place and tried to off the cub. Option 1: you step in and handle the revenge yourself. Reward: 1 alloy combat knife. Option 2: let the cub get his own revenge. Reward: 1 evolution serum to level him up. Note: if you choke on this emergency quest, the next one is automatically failed. After hearing the system yapping, I gritted my teeth and bolted back to the treehouse. Thankfully, the place wasn't completely leveled. Modern building techniques for the win, but those gashes on the wall have me absolutely livid. You better hide, you absolute fraud, because I'm coming for you. Turns out using scrap bullhorns for the door was actually a galaxy brain move. The inside wasn't even touched. I ripped through the drawers labeled Mandara, Shengsao, Ginger, and Tianan. Ever since Anya almost bit the dust from an allergic reaction, I've been paranoid about keeping a stash. Every time I head out, I'm basically looting the forest for medicinal herbs just in case. Yeah, these are exactly the ones I need. I started speedrunning the potion brewing process. 30 minutes later, system notification. Congrats on crafting the anesthesia powder. You just unlocked the speedrun achievement. Reward, a high-tier surgical kit. Massive W, since the old gear in the cave was smashed to bits. I was really about to use a bone knife to play surgeon on this cub. Now with this pro-tier gear, the survival rate just went to the moon. I grabbed the mysterious kit and the medicine, appearing right in front of Anya. She was guarding the cub, her eyes swollen red, whispering words of encouragement to him. I tapped the eye of everything to scan the cub's status. Name Black Cub, species Black Ancestral Wolf King, stage infant. Status, holding on to life by thread, limbs shattered, spine crushed, esophagus and stomach shredded. There's something stuck in his gut, so I shoved a tube in and poured the anesthesia down. Seconds later, the cub's eyes rolled back and he was out cold. Anya panicked, shouting, "What did you do to him? Is your medicine straight up trash or what? Wait, so Heize is actually dead?" She started tearing up, completely losing it. Wait, if he's not dead, was he just knocked out? Knocked out? If I didn't sedate him, how was I supposed to cut out that foreign object in his gut? She looked at me, totally shook. No way, you're gonna slice his belly open. Is he even gonna survive that? I didn't blame her. I just looked her dead in the eyes. Trust me, I can save him. She stayed silent for a sec, then just gave me a nod. I kept it real with her. Go find some animal tendons. I'm gonna need them. She nodded and booked it to find what I needed. Once Anya brought the tendons over, I sterilized the blade, took a deep breath, and sliced open Heize's belly in one clean motion. Anya was watching from the sidelines, heart racing, probably thinking I was about to zero the poor guy out. But my hands were steady. My technique was basically god tier. I pulled the foreign object out and started stitching the wound up, layer by layer, like a pro. Then I realigned all the broken bones in his waist and limbs, strapped him up with wooden splints, gave him some meds, and checked his status. Status. Heize, the young black mane wolf king, is alive and kicking, sedation wearing off, broken limbs mending, waist healing, throat and stomach lacerations patching up, surgical wounds closing, and the near-death label is finally gone. Thank God. System. Congrats host, emergency mission complete, reward. Growth and rapid strengthening elixir, use now. Congrats host, achievement unlocked. First surgery in history, reward. Instant synthesis technique. Let's go. No more wasting precious time, messing around with herbal medicine. A second later, my attention shifted to the weird object I pulled out of him. Time to see what kind of loot this actually is. Activate all-seeing eye. Oh, it's magnetite ore. Its use? Basically just free steelmaking material. My eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. Magnetite. If I can find the source of this vein, I can literally skip the Stone Age, skip the Bronze Age, and head straight into the Iron Age. While I was daydreaming, Anya let out a shout that scared the living daylights out of me. Heize's finally awake. Heize slowly started coming to, trying to stand up, only to realize he's been turned into a wall. It was thrashing around in pure panic. Ya and I rushed over to pin this little guy down. Chill out, Heize, stop moving, or you're gonna rip those stitches open again. But the beast wasn't having it, thrashing even harder like it had a death wish. Screw it, we're doing this. Better to force the meds down than let it end up a cripple. I grabbed the tube and forced the elixir right into Heize's mouth. The second the juice hit its system, Heize froze, its body starting to spasm uncontrollably. Ya looked at me, eyes full of panic, but I signaled her to stay cool while I activated my all-seeing eye to scan its stats. Not even a minute later, every single wound on the beast just vanished into thin air. The medicine actually worked, but Heize's evolution was just getting started. Its body started bulking up, literally bursting through the wooden splints I'd strapped to it. Its teeth fell out one by one, only to be replaced by new, sharper ones immediately. This whole cycle happened twice, before it finally stopped. A creature way bigger than the previous Black Sect Wolf King was now staring us down. I pulled up its status screen. Name Heize, species Black Sect Wolf King, traits agility, combat mastery, razor-sharp senses. Agility, I muttered, my brain already clicking into place. No way, did this beast find that magnetic ore? Ya stood there staring at the absolute unit standing in front of us. She asked tentatively, Heize, you okay, buddy? Heize let out a long howl and pounced, pinning Ya straight to the ground. I panicked for a second. Did it get traumatized and go feral or something? I was about to step in when a massive slobbery tongue started licking Ya's face. She started giggling as the beast showered her with affection. You still remember who did this to you, right? Heize stopped playing around, let out a deep menacing growl, and nodded aggressively. I patted its massive head. Good, remember that. Don't worry, I'm definitely going to get revenge for you. But my current combat power is still mid, just wait a little longer. Heize gave a firm, obedient nod. Oh yeah, do you know where this came from? I pulled out the piece of magnetic ore. Heize sniffed it for a second, then led us to a cave, digging through a pile of trash until it found that exact spot.
You dug it out from here?
Seeing I was still skeptical, Heize just started tearing into the ground with its claws. The speed at which this adult-form beast digs is straight up cracked compared to before. In the blink of an eye, a massive hole opened up right in front of me. As I kept digging, chunks of magnetite started popping out, and my eyes lit up like a kid on Christmas. Bro really found a whole magnetite mine. With this loot, those absolute clowns are officially finished. Aya looked at me, totally clueless. Brother, I still don't know who did it, but they took every single weapon we had. Not even a bow or a bone knife is left. How are we supposed to fight back with just some rocks? Shouldn't we just bail? What if those guys come back? I smirked. Relax, those losers aren't coming back anytime soon. They snatched our weapons, but they handed us the treasure that's about to change this whole era. This is the start of the end for the Heite tribe, and it's going to be their ultimate downfall, Yifeng style. Seeing the pure Sigma energy radiating off me, Aya didn't press it. She just trusts her man. For the next few days, we didn't waste time rebuilding. We went straight into full-blown grind mode in the mines. Until you've got absolute power, everything else is just a fairy tale. Meanwhile, in a cave not far from the Blackstone tribe, Badu and his squad of lackeys were secretly crafting weapons. Watching his minions craft bows and wooden arrows, his ego was reaching peak levels. Once this batch is done, I won't just be the Blackstone leader. Every tribe in this jungle is going to be bowing down to me. One of his lackeys stepped forward. Boss, 500 bows and a bunch of arrows are ready to go. Should we go find that thief and settle the score? Badu leaned back and thought about it for a second. No rush. With this gear, we shouldn't be wasting time on some bottom feeder. That loser isn't going anywhere, but if the tribe finds out, our whole operation is cooked. What about Aya, though? She's useless to me now. Badu stood up, arms wide open, acting like he's already won. I only wanted her because she's a hero's descendant and could help me claim the throne. Now, I'm going to wipe out every single tribe and rule this entire forest. Everyone's going to be crawling at my feet. Half a month later, the system pinged. Congratulations, host. You've reached the Steel Mastery achievement. Reward: Elite Tier Blacksmithing Techniques unlocked. Looking at the block of steel I'd forged, I was losing my mind, laughing like a straight-up maniac. Beside me, Aya and Heite just stared, wondering if I'd finally lost the plot. Aya whispered, "Hey Zai, is our man actually losing his marbles?" Zai shook his head, looking like a total bro who's seen it all. The girl and the wolf locked eyes and nodded, silently reaching some kind of weird consensus. The next second, 2 blasts of hot breath swept across my face at the same time. On the left, Aya planted a quick, feather-like kiss on my cheek. On the right, Heizai slapped a giant slobbery tongue lick across my face. "What are you two even doing?" I complained, frantically wiping my face off. "Who told you to sit there acting like a maniac, laughing at nothing? We were just worried you'd suddenly gone full brain rot. You two are a match made in chaos." I threw that jab out there, laughing it off. Aya didn't care. She actually thought my misery was hilarious. "Stop messing around, let's get back to the grind." I pointed at the block of steel I'd just refined. "With this haul, I'm locking in 3 suits of armor so we don't get folded the moment we step outside." "What's armor, anyway? You're gonna make clothes out of these rocks?" Something like that. She nodded like she actually understood what was going on. While I was focused on the steel, she secretly signaled Heizai. Heizai got the memo and dipped out of the cave. Where's that wolf running off to? Forget him. The kid's growing up, got his own secrets, and he can't go far anyway. Aya wrapped her arms around mine. "Do you need to take measurements for the armor?" "Obviously, how else am I supposed to craft it?" I didn't even look back, keeping my eyes locked on the steel. Aya had changed into a thin, loose nightgown, her cheeks flushed pink with a mischievous glint in her eye. My nose started bleeding uncontrollably, and I couldn't stop it. I quickly covered my eyes but left a tiny gap just to peek. Gotta say, no matter how many times I see it, she's still absolutely breathtaking. Hey, her smug little voice just floated right into my ears. "If you want to watch, just watch. Why you gotta be a creeper about it?" "Nah, I wasn't." "You're capping. Do I really look like that kind of guy to you?" "Oh, really?" "Then why are your ears so red they're about to start smoking?" My face turned bright red. The next second, I got tackled by some serious force and slammed into the ground. Aya pinned me down and started breathing right in my ear. "I know you're stressing yourself out for my safety, but you really don't have to worry that much. My only wish in this life is to have your kid, keep breathing, and stay by your side until the end." I was weak. I really couldn't say no to a girl who's this ride or die for me. I pulled her close, and like dry wood meeting a flame, we just went wild. "What the hell are you two doing?" Suddenly, a girl's voice echoed from the cave entrance. "Damn it!" I scrambled to grab some loose animal pelts to cover Aya up. Aya ditched her usual sweet act and snapped. "What are you scared of? We're in our own cave trying to start a family. It's only natural. Whoever talks trash is getting their neck snapped by yours truly." She threw her clothes on and stormed toward the entrance like she was looking for a fight. I fixed my messy outfit and awkwardly followed behind. Egu, what is this NPC doing here? Aya was already standing at the entrance, cold shouldering her and shouting. Ogu, you little brat, you ruined my vibe. I'm not letting you off easy. Ogu turned red, stuttering and unable to get a single word out. Seeing that, Aya just straight up body slammed her to the ground. Ogu started begging for mercy immediately. All right, my bad. Just get off me. Aya finally let go, saying, so what's the deal? If it's not important, I'm literally gonna end you. Ogu finally managed to calm down. These days, the old man has been taking his minions out early and coming back late. Wonder what kind of schemes he's cooking up. I'm worried they're plotting something nasty to mess with you two. Aya turned her head to look at me. What should we do now? The corners of my mouth curled into a mocking smirk. Let that clown come. If he dares to show his face, I'm sending him straight to the afterlife. Aya let out a sigh of relief and pulled Egu along as if nothing had happened. You guys rarely visit, so stay for dinner before you head out. Ogu was still hesitating, but I told him, stop overthinking it and just try some of this fire food. You definitely won't find stuff like this back at the tribe. Aya chimed in to convince him. Ogu finally gave in and nodded. The two of them turned around and headed toward the treehouse. Watching their backs, I narrowed my eyes. Ochi burst out from the forest with a few wild chickens in his mouth. Where the hell did you run off to? Someone literally walked right up and you didn't even notice. Good thing they weren't hostile, or we'd be in serious trouble. Heichi dropped his ears, looking completely salty. Didn't you guys kick me out because you wanted some alone time? Why are you blaming me now? Isn't this just straight-up wolf bullying? Soon enough, the three of us and the wolf were chilling around the makeshift dining table. Ugu was absolutely mind-blown by the whole scene, speechless. I thought you guys were out here struggling and starving, but turns out you've got plenty of food and even built a cozy treehouse. This place is 10,000 times better than those dusty caves. He looked at Heichi devouring wild meat, and then at this alpha wolf, completely shook that we managed to tame it. Oya quickly urged him, stop chatting and start eating. My man cooked all these veggies and meat himself. It's straight up gourmet. Ogu popped a piece of veggie into his mouth and was immediately hooked. He started scarfing it down while bragging. I've never tasted anything this good in my life. They don't have this back at the tribe. This place is basically heaven on earth. One thing was still bugging him though. Why on earth do you use 2 sticks to pick up food? Isn't that annoying as hell? It wasn't his place to crash, so he kept his mouth shut. The host was being extra, so I decided to drop the act and speak up. Thanks for the heads up, buddy. But instead of worrying about us, you should probably go check on your leader. Agu frowned, clearly confused by the shade I was throwing. I gave him a smile that said, I know way more than you. I told him the leader was going to get betrayed, expecting him to panic, but the dude just started laughing. Quit playing, the leader might be a tyrant, but he raised that guy from a pup. Even if he wanted to start a coup, he's got 0 stats for that. I kept it 100, telling him to believe it or not, that's on him. You really need to relay that message to the big man upstairs. Or do you want to be crying about it later? Yeah, just do us a favor and tell the leader the truth. My man here doesn't just spout nonsense for fun. Aya chimed in, backing up my play. Seeing us both so dead serious, Agu looked like he was suffering from a massive headache. Fine, I'll go tell the leader what you said. After the meal, Aya and I just stood there in silence, watching Agu fade into the distance. Aya turned to look at me, still looking like she was waiting for the punchline. How are you so sure that guy's actually gonna revolt? Ogu was still here earlier, so I didn't want to call you out, but seriously? I just gave her a knowing smirk. Back in my former life, I was a cop who spent every day playing mind games with drug lords. You think I couldn't smell a snake like him from a mile away? I broke it down. Whether he's trying to marry you for a power play, using your legendary lineage to solidify his own status, or how he's been obsessively targeting me ever since he lost the leader's trust. It's obvious this guy is just a power-hungry clown. For a taste of absolute power, he'd burn the whole tribe to the ground, even the people who raised his sorry hide. Aya nodded, still only half getting it, asking how he could possibly win a 1v1 against the leader. Why would he be stupid enough to try and start a coup? I tapped her on the nose. That bow design isn't even that hard to replicate. Once they study it for a bit, they'll be mass-producing them like it's nothing. Once the armory is stocked, even a small squad will have enough firepower to wipe out every tribe in the neighborhood. A guy with that much ambition, once he gets a taste of real power, how could he ever settle for being a sidekick? Anya's expression shifted, and she just stood there frozen like a statue. I laughed and said, stop spacing out. Unless you want our place turned into rubble, get over here and help me. We're officially on the clock. She finally snapped back to reality. Even though she wasn't exactly vibing with the tribe anymore, it was still the place her dad gave his life to protect, and now it was about to get wiped off the map. She was feeling sentimental, but to secure our little safe haven, I really didn't have the luxury to care about all that. The two of us headed straight for the Black Rock tribe's forge, which was basically the chief's man cave. Agu started spilling everything I told him to the old man. The old guy went from suspicious to looking like he had the whole situation figured out in seconds. Agu was too dense to notice the malice in the chief's eyes and kept going. "Chief, that's all the intel I could squeeze out of that guy. I just need to know when the tribe is sending a squad to bust my pops out of the giant deer tribe's clutches." The chief replied with total indifference, "No rush. Sure, the giant deer tribe is run by a bunch of chicks, but their combat stats are cracked. Without a guaranteed win, I'm not risking my soldiers." "But you promised. You said if I got the scoop from Anya and that guy, you'd save my dad." The chief's face turned darker than a void realm. "You call this useful intel? So what if Badu got his heir status stripped? He's probably salty about it. But relying on his little band of a few dozen dudes? Best case scenario, he's just plotting some petty revenge against that guy. Think he's actually going to shake the foundation of my Black Rock tribe? Keep dreaming, kid. I bet that guy's real goal is to make us turn on Badu. That way we're distracted, and he gets breathing room to dodge the fallout. Look, Agu, don't sweat it. You help me score the recipe for those meds, and I promise the tribe will go save your old man." Agu nodded. "Thanks, Chief. I'll head out then, and if I hear anything else, I'll report back." "Beat it." The chief waved him off, and the moment Agu stepped out, his face twisted into a sinister grin. "That guy is a slippery snake, trying to use my tribe as a human shield for his own problems. Not a chance. Let that absolute clown go die first to drain the kid's stamina. I'll step in later. Once he's cooked, I'm snatching all his loot, and every single treasure he owns will belong to my Black Rock tribe." Inside the forge, the system notifications were going absolutely berserk. "Congrats, host. You've unlocked the achievement for crafting your first suit of armor. Reward: blueprint for the Mingguang armor. Congrats, host. You've unlocked the achievement for forging your first steel blade. Reward: master level 100 refinement blade forging technique. Congrats, host. You've unlocked the achievement for crafting a repeating crossbow. Reward: blueprint for the rapid-fire crossbow." My face was literally stuck in a grin I couldn't stop. Aya and Hazy were already used to me acting like a maniac. But once I actually processed the requirements in my head, my smile turned into a straight-up grimace. Of course it wasn't going to be that easy. With my current forge level, I'm nowhere near skilled enough to actually craft this top-tier gear. This is actually so annoying. But then again, having basic gear like this is already a massive W in this primitive era. I started teaching Aya how to suit up and use the repeating crossbow. I also hooked Hazy up with some heavy-duty steel armor and custom iron claws. Hazy went from a regular beast to a total unit. His combat power just went through the roof. After seeing the weapons in action, the shock on Aya's face was priceless. "Bro, this gear is straight up cracked." Hearing her talk like that, I felt like a sweat drop anime character. Is this what they call bad influence, or is she just picking up my vibe? "Hey, what are you muttering about?" "It's nothing. I just said you're a quick learner." "Well, obviously." I turned serious, saying, "Look, we're running out of time. We've only got 20 steel arrows, so don't waste them unless you absolutely have to. Even if you fire them, make sure you go pick them back up." Aya nodded, serious as ever. "I got you." I looked over at Hazy. "How's the new armor, big guy? Satisfied?" Hazy let out an excited roar, and I walked over to pat his massive head. "It's finally time to avenge your mom." Aya hit me with the million-dollar question. "What if we get ambushed by Batu mid-journey?" I didn't even sweat it. Didn't we literally just cover this? As long as the Stone Tribe hasn't folded, we're chillin'. Knowing Batu's pathetic ego, he's definitely going to try to play king of the hill and take over that tribe first. He's going to wait until he's the boss, then roll up with his goons to level this place. Then he'll try to flex on us, shaming you for dumping him and calling me a thief, just to stroke his fragile ego. He really wants us to regret not choosing him, the delusional clown. Aya thought it over and nodded, but then she looked like something still wasn't clicking. "So shouldn't we team up with the tribe to take down Batu? If we let him power up, aren't we just setting ourselves up to get cooked?" I gave her a little finger wag, the classic "you're wrong" move. Wrong again, that's some small brain energy. You really think those old geezers are the good guys? You want to partner up with them? That's just begging to have our tech and secrets leaked. Once the revolt is crushed, they're either going to lock us up to mass-produce weapons for their army, or use you as a hostage to force me to spill the beans. Aya looked like she was spiraling into a midlife crisis. Wait, so every path leads to a game over? Maybe we should just pack up and bounce to the middle of nowhere. I shook my head, dead serious. There's no running away from being exploited. The only way to actually stay safe is to get strong enough to stand on our own 2 feet, and that's the only real way to win this game. The plan is simple. Get payback for Hades' mom, then have him recruit that wolf pack. That's how we secure the bag and survive in this savage world. I looked over at Hades, and he already knew the vibe. Aya finally had her light bulb moment, realizing I'd already calculated everything, though I realized I hadn't asked Jesus for his thoughts yet. I scratched the back of my head, feeling a bit awkward. Yeah, that's fair. Hoidzi, you down for this mission? Hoidzi didn't even hesitate. He just nodded immediately. We've been his only family since he was born. He trusts us more than anyone else in the world. I gave Aya the lowdown. Stay put and keep an eye on the camp, you got this. With this gear and the traps set around the treehouse, you're basically untouchable. If things go sideways, just vanish and hide. I'll be back before you even miss me. Aya gave me a nod like she was ready for war. Me and Heidzi hit the road. Thanks to Heidzi's nose being built different, we found the wolf's lair in no time. Suddenly, this gray wolf lunges out from the shadows like he's looking for an early grave. I didn't even flinch, didn't even bother to dodge. Heidzi pulled a pro-gamer move, leaping in front of me and slapping that wolf back into reality. The gray wolf went down like a sack of potatoes, absolute zero resistance. But before I could celebrate, dozens of them swarmed out to surround us. I gulped, but Heidzi didn't back down. He just stood his ground and roared at the pack. The pack actually parted ways, making room for a beast way bigger than the rest to strut right up to us. It was the Alpha, the same one that tried to wreck our treehouse earlier. But here's the kicker. There was some guy draped in animal skin sitting on its back like it was a horse. I stared at the dude, and my eyes literally couldn't widen any further. Who in the middle of this primeval jungle has the audacity to tame a whole pack and ride the Alpha? Hoizi's fur spiked up, letting out a low, menacing growl. It was pure hostility, but I could smell a hint of fear mixed in there. I gripped my repeating crossbow, the moonlight catching the cold, deadly tip of the steel bolt. We've got internal drama, external threats, and now a mysterious third party lurking in the wolf pack. This mess is way deeper than I ever signed up for. I took a deep breath, patted Heidzi on the back, and decided it was time to crash their little party. Man and dog walked straight toward that mysterious silhouette, closing the distance. The night was dead silent, but a howl echoed from the direction of the Black Rock tribe, signaling that a storm was brewing. And I'm standing right in the middle of the herd.